Chapter 21 Lin Huang Flipping. Oh, you are listening at novelfull.audio. George Kong saw the way Lin Huang was staring at him and felt a chill going down his spine, immediately planning his retreat. What are you staring at? You think you're better than us just because you're an imperial censor. George's family is royalty, you can't afford to offend him. The tall, skinny guy raised his voice at Lin Huang as he was ignored by him. Lin Huang frowned when he heard the guy mentioned royalty. In this world, only families that were higher than the gold rank could be approved as royalty by the Union government. Now he understood why this guy spoke for George Kong willingly. Meanwhile, George Kong, who thought Lin Huang was strange, began getting jealous of Lin Huang. What did he do to deserve to be an imperial censor? He's 15 and he isn't even iron. Level. It's obvious that he's a poor kid without good background. What's so great about being an imperial censor? I'm going to show you what I've got today. George Kong thought to himself. Bro, we would not force you to do something that you don't want to do, but your attitude is humiliating. Since my brothers don't like you, there's nothing that I can do. George Kong was smart as he sensed Lin Huang was not the person that he should mess with, so he tried to get away from him. Although the reason that he argued was irrelevant, at least it was not awkward. That was one of the things that he learned from his family. A normal 15-year-old would really reflect on what he just said, but Lin Huang was not a kid. He knew what this guy was up to, where he attempted to avoid conflicts. If a fight was to happen, no matter which side won, it would be none of his business. However, it was not a good news to Lin Huang as they were a gang. Although he was fearless, he did not want to offend the royalty for no reason. The tall and skilled guy did not understand what George Kong really meant. He thought he did not want to fight Lin Huang himself and he wanted the rest of them to do it instead. He was willing to do anything for the young master of royalty. Regardless of how the results of the assessment turned out, as long as he managed to build a good relationship with royalty, he could always ask for job opportunities and work on their properties. The four of them were thinking about the same thing. George Kong took a few steps back while the four of them looked at each other. The three of them plunged towards the sand monster while the tall and skinny guy attacked Lin Huang. The easiest way to kill an imperial censor was to kill him before he summoned his monsters. Now that Lin Huang had already summoned his monster, they thought of holding down the monster and killing Lin Huang as soon as they could. Lin Huang was not iron. Level, so he could not see their abilities. However, seeing the tall and skinny guy leading the charge, that meant his ability should be the most powerful possible in iron. Level rank 0.3. Lin Huang did not hesitate. As he was stepping away fast, he held the Grey Eagle 17 on his hand and reloaded his remaining 5 armored bullets. Looking at the Grey Eagle 17 on Lin Huang's hand, the tall and skilled guy grinned. A Grey Eagle 17, this weapon that isn't even considered to be an iron. Level weapon could probably be a threat to people on iron. Level rank 0.1 or 2, but I, Xuanhuan, am at iron. Level rank 0.3, such a garbage of a gun can do nothing to me. Seeing Xuanhuan approaching him without fear, Lin Huang aimed at his chest and pulled the trigger. Bang! The explosive bang scared everyone. Xuanhuan attempted to avoid the shot, but it was too late. The bullet hit his right shoulder. A hole that was the size of a fist was blown into his right shoulder, so deep that his bone could be seen. Xuanhuan pressed his palm against the wound, blood was flowing out. He glared at Lin Huang and poured medication on the wound. Lin Huang looked at him from far away, he did not continue to attack. Without Tyrant or Bai's help, it was difficult for him to kill Xuanhuan. Xuanhuan's ability was much more powerful than the weakened vampire he killed earlier. His mind was not controlled by hunger. Moreover, Lin Huang was only left with 4 armored bullets, they were for emergency use only and he did not want to waste the bullets. It was just a minor fight between them, they had not reached the point where they had to kill each other. Seeing Lin Huang's attack, George Kang's expression changed. He thought his hunch was right, this guy is dangerous. He could also see that Lin Huang showed mercy. If he was to aim his gun at Xue Jie's head instead of chest, he would have been dead by now. Just when George Kong gave all his attention on Lin Huang, he heard a devastating groan not far away. The three guys who attempted to attack Tyrant were punched by it. Nobody knew if they were still alive. After settling the three of them, Tyrant ran towards Lin Huang and attempted to grab Xue Jie. Xue Jie saw what was happening and was terrified as he attempted to escape with his injured shoulder. As he ran, he screamed for help, "George, help me." George Kong was in a pickle. Although he did not want to be involved in this, he could not let Xue Jie die here. If Xue Jie was dead, he would be alone, and who knew if Lin Huang would kill him as well. He used his right hand and waved in the air. The black ring on his middle finger became a giant shield in front of Xue Jie. Bang! Tyrant's giant claw landed on the giant shield and a spiderweb crack appeared on the shield. George Kong was shocked. He did not expect the sand monster's hit to create such cracks on his iron-level equipment. He did not know that this sand monster's strength was near a bronze level monster. George Kong then called out to Lin Huang bro, please stop the violence, we can talk this out. Tyrant. Lin Huang then stopped Tyrant from attacking Xue Jie. Tyrant was getting in the zone, it then stopped and looked at Lin Huang in confusion. Stop for now. After Lin Huang gave out his instruction, he looked at George Kong and Xue Jie, I need a proper explanation. The duo was relieved when they saw Lin Huang asking Tyrant to stop. George Kong said loudly to Lin Huang from far away, Lin Huang bro, it's our fault. We should not put you in trouble, we would like to apologize. George, this kid would not dare to kill us. Killing is prohibited in the assessment. If we were to die in the assessment, not only he would lose his eligibility, he would also be blacklisted by the Hunter Association and prohibited from all forms of hunter assessment. You are a member of royalty. If you die in the assessment, the Hunter Association would definitely investigate the matter. Killing a member of royalty is considered a very serious matter to the Union government. Shut up. George Kong stopped Xue Jie from talking. He could not believe that Xue Jie was still picking a fight with Lin Huang bro, all my weapons that were over iron-level were taken away. The most valuable thing I have with me is this black armor. George Kong then took off the black ring on his left ring finger and tossed on the ground in front of Tyrant, please take this as our apology, I hope we can forget about what happened today and be friends. Lin Huang kept quiet for a moment and said, I accept your apology. You can take the three guys who are lying there. But he's not allowed to leave. Lin Huang pointed at Xue Jie who was behind George Kong. Chapter 22 A Kill to Warn. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing Lin Huang pointing his finger at him, Xue Jie turned pale. He thought that would be the end of the incident since George Kong had apologized and gave Lin Huang a gift. He did not expect Lin Huang to come after him. Lin Huang, what do you want from me? Xue Jie did not think that he could defeat Tyrant. Moreover, Lin Huang was good in attacking from a distance. If they were to fight, he would definitely lose. What do I want? Lin Huang squinted while he looked at Xue Jie, it was you who picked a fight with me and it was you who attacked me. Do you really think that I'd let you go just like? Xue Jie, it was our fault. You should apologize. Lin Huang bro, please let us know how we could remedy you, let's not fight. George Kong did not leave without Xue Jie, instead, he turned around and looked at Lin Huang. Lin Huang bro, I know you're mad. It makes sense that you are angry as Xue Jie is a loudmouth. Let us know what kind of compensation we can give. Lin Huang was amazed at how smart this George Kong as he seemed like a prudent person. He would become someone remarkable in the future. Since you have offered, I shall not embarrass you. I only have two requests. Firstly, I want a sincere apology from Xue Jie. Secondly, I want every equipment that he has on him as well as all the things that's in his storage. Lin Huang, don't you dare push it. Xuejie was furious. Shut up, Xuejie. George Kong yelled at Xuejie. Be no calm, George Kong, now I finally understand why your family isn't fond of you, you're a bastard. Not only did you not help me but you're helping an outsider. I wouldn't want to have a cousin like you. What Xuejie said upset George Kong. Lin Huang finally understood why George Kong did not choose to leave earlier and help Xuejie instead. You're such an idiot, I'm helping you to get out of the situation. George Kong yelled back at Xuejie. I don't need you, go away. Xuejie spat on the ground. Lin Huang bro, I could give you all the iron-level equipment that I have with me, as well as the things that I have in my storage. I will bring him away and guarantee that we will not give you trouble anymore. George Kong suggested. George, this has nothing to do with you. This is my business with him, I'll settle with him. If you can't stand to watch, please leave. Lin Huang rejected George Kang's offer. Tyrant, attack. Hearing Lin Huang's instruction, Tyrant who was giddy stood up and ran towards Xuejie. George Kong did not leave but he took a few steps back away from Tyrant and Xuejie while he watched quietly. The Grey Eagle 17 remained on Lin Huang's hand, it was pointing at George Kong. Meanwhile, although Xuejie's ability was not that weak, his right shoulder was injured, leaving him with only his left arm. His speed seemed to be affected by the pain. With his fear of Tyrant after he saw his attack earlier, he was not even able to use 70% of his strength. Soon, Tyrant was near him. It then punched the iron-level long knife that Xuejie had on his arm and a crack was heard. There was blood on Tyrant's fist but a strong impact was felt on Xuejie's left hand. He was pushed back from the bunch and the long knife fell from his grip. That hit fractured Xuejie's left hand. George Kong, who was watching from afar, was terrified. He did not have any hope left in Xuejie in this battle. Xuejie was an expert in using knives and now that both his hands were useless, he did not have any moves anymore. Standing before a sand monster who was near a bronze level, he was like a helpless toy to it. Seeing that he had lost his power, Tyrant got even more excited, it then humiliated him like a cat toying with a mouse. After clumsy attempts of trying to dodge Tyrant's attacks, Xuejie was tired. Noticing that its prey was exhausted, Tyrant grinned and grabbed his arm. Xuejie struggled hard, but it was useless. He felt like his body was going to be crushed. Watching that, George Kong hesitated and said, Lin Huang bro, please spare his life for me. Take this instead. You can ask for 3 favors from our family in the future. George Kong then took out a token from his space storage. Lin Huang looked at him, although he did not know what that token was about, he got Tyrant to stop, Tyrant, put him down. Xuejie was on the brink of death as he lay on the ground motionless. In Tyrant's arm, all the bones in his body were destroyed. Lin Huang walked towards him, apologize or die. Lin Huang, I know that you don't have the guts to kill me. Xuejie smiled. I don't know where you get that confidence. Lin Huang bent down and shook his head with a smile, to the Hunter Association, you're just an ordinary person who is not even a reserve hunter while I'm an imperial censor. Do you think the Hunter Association would disqualify me just because I killed you? Even if I did kill you and I'm disqualified, with my status of being an imperial censor, it's not difficult to join other organizations. Regarding your relationship with royalty, you're not even an important family member. If you're dead, do you really think George's family would avenge you? An imperial censor is protected by many, do you really think George's family would offend the Hunter Association for your sake? Let me tell you a secret. Lin Huang leaned in close to Xuejie's ear, although I'm not even an iron level, I'm able to summon not 1 monster, but 3. There'll be more in the future. Xuejie's pupils shrunk. Although he did not know much about an imperial censor, he knew that most of them would only blossom after they became an iron level. Those who could summon monsters before reaching iron level were considered to be geniuses. Those who could summon 3 monsters before reaching iron level, on the other hand, would be considered god. Like. Even without the assessment, this fellow would be a catch for all. If he and George Kong were to be killed, the Hunter Association might have buried the incident. Alright, now that you know my secret, bring it along when you leave this world. After whispering into Xue Jie's ear, Lin Huang stood up and pointed his Grey Eagle 17 at Xue Jie's forehead and slid it toward his left eye. The bullet would pass from your eyeball to your brain and explode, it won't be painful. Wait, please don't kill me. I'm begging you. Xue Jie felt the threat of death, something he had never felt before, and begged for mercy. George Kong was amazed. He did not know what Lin Huang said to Xue Jie to terrify him like that. Now that you know my secret, I can't let you live. Lin Huang grinned while he placed his finger on the trigger. I swear I will not reveal your secret to anyone. If I do, I curse that I will be stuck on iron level forever. Xue Jie said immediately, and I'm sorry for what happened earlier. It was my fault, I will give you anything. Lin Huang seemed like he was hesitating, but he was enjoying it. Although Xue Jie had a bad mouth, Lin Huang never planned to kill him. He just wanted to show this to George Kong as a warning, since the rich were scared of those who do not care to lose their lives. Lin Huang intentionally showed him his crazy side so George Kong would give up trying to take revenge on him. He knew very well that people from royalty would definitely seek revenge. I have 4 iron level equipment that I can give to you. As for the stuff in my storage, please help yourself. Xue Jie gave up. Lin Huang could finally end his drama. Lin Huang bro, if you think that the stuff that my cousin offered is insufficient, please take mine as well. George Kong walked towards him and said. He was terrified by Lin Huang's actions and was afraid that he might really kill his cousin. All right. George, since he had already apologized, I shall not embarrass you. Lin Huang then took his gun away from Xue Jie's head and stood up. After taking a few of his iron level equipment, Lin Huang searched through his storage. Apart from the iron level armor that was given by George Kong, he did not take any of his stuff. He even rejected the token that he offered. George Kong pressed the emergency button for Xue Jie and the rest of his team. He then left, alone. Lin Huang grinned while he watched him leave. I didn't expect Xue Jie to conform to me. This kill to warn technique was a success. Looking at George Kong, who couldn't wait to leave me alone, I don't think he'd ever look for trouble with me ever again. It seems that I've avoided the aftermath. Chapter 23 Meeting Fatty again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 5 iron level equipment, 2 pieces of armor and a battle sword. The remaining 2 were diving and investigation equipment. Lin Huang did not exactly know what they were. The 5 equipment were deactivated and he could not activate them at the current level of his abilities. Apart from the equipment, Lin Huang took all the life crystals in Xue Jie's storage. There was a total of 30 years worth of life crystals which could be traded for more than 3 million credit points. It was a fortune for Lin Huang. The rest of Xue Jie's properties seemed useless, so Lin Huang did not bother to take them with him. His storage was not that big anyway, it was only the size of 1 square. He planned to spend some of his credit points to expand the storage in his Emperor's Heart Ring after the assessment ended. He then sat on Tyrant's shoulder and instructed it to go on a route that was slightly different from George Kong. They both headed to the east. Though he was not afraid to fight someone, it would be quite troublesome for him. The incident with George Kong took more than half an hour. If he was to encounter a few similar incidents in a day, he would be spending most of his time on battles instead of proceeding with his journey. Less than 20 minutes after they ran towards the east, there was a sandstorm in the desert. Although it was not intense, Lin Huang had to get Tyrant to go at a slower pace while he used his shirt to cover his mouth and nose. Within a few minutes, Lin Huang saw someone in the sandstorm not far away. The person seemed plump, he was having difficulty walking with his short legs. Why does this person look so familiar? Lin Huang felt he had seen this person before. Tyrant ran towards the person in excitement. It was its instinct to go after a prey which could be its food. Tyrant, don't bother him. Let's just pass him by. Lin Huang instructed. Tyrant, who was excited, was calm again and gave up on running after the person. Yin Heinyi, who was struggling in the desert, heard something coming up behind him. He turned around and saw a sand monster coming for him. He also saw a person sitting on top of the sand monster's left shoulder. Just when he was wondering what he was seeing, the sand monster walked past him and proceeded to run ahead. Yin Heinyi was not shocked. Instead, he thought the guy who sat on the sand monster's shoulder looked familiar. The guy covered his mouth and nose. The only thing he could see on his face was his eyes. He tried to recall where he had seen the person before. A while later, he mumbled to himself, that pair of eyes looked like Lin Huang's. Could it really be Lin Huang? He then waved to the sand monster that had yet to run too far away and yelled, Lin Huang, wait for me. Lin Huang, I am Yin Heinyi. Hearing someone calling his name behind him, Lin Huang turned around to look. He could tell indistinctly who the person was. Lin Huang frowned as the fatty was over-friendly and talkative. If he was to walk with him, he would have to listen to him talking all day. But the fatty was deviating from the correct route. If the sandstorm did not stop, his direction would deviate even more and cause him to fail. He shook his head and smiled. Lin Huang decided to get the sand monster to stop. Yin Heinyi saw that the sand monster stopped. He ran fast to it. Lin Huang slid down from the sand monster's arm and Yin Heinyi let out an awkward smile as he said in relief, Ah, bro, finally I bump into my family. I thought I'd really die in this desert if I didn't bump into you. Didn't you follow the rest? How did you deviate from the route? Lin Huang ignored his friendliness and asked in curiosity. Let's not talk about it. There was a sandstorm not long after we fell asleep in our tents. All of them ran away. I was lucky to find somewhere to hide for the night. I couldn't tell which direction I was at when I woke up in the morning. Looking at the fatty's face, Lin Huang felt he was telling the truth. Bro, I didn't know you're an imperial censor. It's so cool that you have this sand monster as your vehicle. The fatty gave a pitiful look. Could you bring me along? You wouldn't want your bro to die in this shitty place, right? You won't die, you can always press the emergency button. Lin Huang responded seriously. I can't do that. If I did, doesn't that mean I gave up on the assessment? Is the assessment more important than your life? Lin Huang raised his eyebrow. Of course the assessment is more important. The fatty said confidently. Seeing that the fatty insisted, there was nothing that Lin Huang could do. I can bring you, but I have a request. Lin Huang raised his finger in all seriousness. Sure. I will do anything, as long as it isn't having sex with you. I'm still a virgin, I must save my virginity for my future wife. The fatty said seriously. Damn you. Look at the fats on you, it's disgusting. Lin Huang gave him a kick. What do you know? I'm voluptuous, girls love me, I'm very huggable. The fatty avoided Lin Huang's kick while explaining. Alright, I won't be messing with you anymore. I'm short of time. My condition is simple, when I ask you to shut up, shut up. Lin Huang could not stand the fatty's exuberance. If he did not set this condition as a ground rule, he might be annoyed to death. What's wrong with you, what gives you the right not to let me talk? The fatty was annoyed. Even with the sand monster, the journey would take at least 3 days. He would die if he was not allowed to talk. Never mind then. Lin Huang turned around and left, but the fatty grabbed his arm. Alright, I give up. I'll promise you that, okay? So, from now onwards. Lin Huang turned around and gestured to zip his mouth. The fatty was confused. What does that mean? That means shut up. Lin Huang forgot that this was not Earth. It was normal for the fatty not to know what the gesture meant. The fatty covered his mouth and waved at Lin Huang. Okay, tyrant, put him on your right shoulder. Tyrant was not as gentle as it was with Lin Huang when it comes to the fatty. It picked the fatty up by holding the fatty's belt from the back. Meanwhile, it was much gentle to Lin Huang where it placed its palm on the ground, allowing him to step on its palm and placed him on its shoulder. Looking at the different treatment, the fatty yelled at Lin Huang, I would like to protest the difference in treatment, I deserve equality. Lin Huang gestured to get him to shut up again. The fatty realized that he asked for a favor. He then covered his mouth and sat down quietly. After Lin Huang sat down, he patted the sand monster, let's go. The sand monster stood up and walked toward the east in big steps. Chapter 24 I Want to Be a Food Hunter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sand monsters lived in the desert since young. They could survive even longer than camels could on Earth in the desert. When there was a lot of food, they would eat everything they could to store a massive amount of fat in their bodies. Without food and water, they could break down their bodily fats for energy and water. Sand monsters that had sufficient fats could live at least half a year without water. Without food, they could live at least 3 years. Their skin was thick and tough enough to defend themselves from sandstorms, even their eyes and faces had a unique structure of 3 layers so that they would not be affected by a sandstorm. Due to their unique body structure, they became the top predators in the desert. The sand monsters had big feet that were more than 2 times the size of human feet. That made them move faster and have more agility than the rest of the giants. Tyrant's body size was more than 5 times bigger than a human, but his speed was not 5 times the speed of a human. Instead, it was 20 times faster than a human. For a human that was an iron. Level rank .3, the most one could travel in the desert was 20 kilometers per hour on average. While for Tyrant, at its normal running speed, it could travel more than 80 kilometers per hour, and at full speed, it could travel more than 100 kilometers per hour. As Lin Huang was sitting on Tyrant's shoulder, he controlled its speed to the normal 80 kilometers to avoid himself from falling down. On the first night, they managed to use only 2 hours to travel a distance that usually took a full day for ordinary people. With the sand monster's strength, the additional burden, who was the fatty sitting on its shoulder, made no difference. Its speed was not slowed down at all. Looking at the fatty feeling nauseous from the ride, Lin Huang was laughing inside. He was no different from the fatty yesterday aside from adapting himself to the feeling of riding on Tyrant. Recalling himself getting poked on his butt by Tyrant's rough hair, Lin Huang mumbled to himself, shouldn't have shaved the other side of its hair. The sand monster ran for more than 4 hours before the fatty started to complain. Can we rest for a while? Oh my god, I feel like my butt cheeks are cracking. Lin Huang's butt was numb too. Seeing the fatty no longer able to take it anymore, he got Tyrant to stop. Tyrant then placed the both of them on the ground. The fatty walked towards Lin Huang while rubbing his butt. Let's get some rest, eat something and drink some water before we go again. Lin Huang nodded, let's rest, I'll get Tyrant to hunt for food. There's no need for that, I have food with me. Fatty took a few big sips of water from his bottle and said. After keeping his bottle back to his storage, the fatty took a set of tableware out and a slice of square meat that was the size of a basketball. Where did you get the food? Didn't they confiscate your food yesterday? Lin Huang asked curiously. What are you thinking about? I didn't smuggle them in, I cut this from the armored pig that the team killed yesterday. It's the back of its leg, good stuff. I plan to keep this for myself, but I treat you as my own brother, else I wouldn't share this with you. The fatty then started to slice the meat. A while later, the slab of meat was sliced. So you're a chef. Seeing the fatty's good knife skills, Lin Huang figured out his occupation. What? A chef. I want to be a food hunter. The fatty looked up and refuted. There were many categories in the Hunter Association. Besides many monster hunters who mainly hunted monsters, there were food hunters who cooked, treasure hunters who looked for treasures, and guardian hunters that protected rare species. The Hunter Association was an organization that offered freedom. They did not only cultivate talents but provide talents of all kinds to other organizations too. The Reserve Hunter assessment was not restricted to any category. To be a food hunter that was recognized by the Hunter Association, Fatty first had to be a reserve hunter. And he would be required to choose a category when he was going for the Bronze Hunter assessment. Through the Food Hunter assessment, he would become a real hunter which recognized by the Hunter Association. In less than 20 minutes, Fatty had roasted all the meat. Lin Huang tasted a piece and his eyes lit up as he said, "Fatty, you don't look like you could cook." Fatty was a good cook. The roast meat was much better than the one Lin Huang cooked on the first day. Although it was not comparable to the one he tasted at the stable residence, it was the second best roast meat he had ever had. Suddenly, they heard a rumbling sound around them. They then noticed that Tyrant was drooling while staring at the roast meat. "Fatty, cook a big slab for it later," Lin Huang suggested after seeing Tyrant looking pitiful. "If we were to feed it, we would be hungry at night." Fatty was unwilling to cook the meat for Tyrant. Just give him a slice for him to taste some. Of course, Lin Huang knew that it was impossible to satisfy Tyrant's appetite. With its size, it would need a ton of meat for it to turn them into fats. Although the fatty was unwilling, thinking that he would need to ride it later, he took out a big slab and started roasting it while he ate his food. Just as they were done eating, the meat was roasted. The fatty used a tong to pass Tyrant the roast meat and said, "Big guy, this is for you." Tyrant looked at Lin Huang while it drooled. "Go ahead." After Lin Huang nodded, it took the roast meat and tossed it into its mouth. It swallowed the meat together with the bones. Damn, why didn't it spit out the bones? It was the first time that Fatty saw a sand monster eat and he was shocked. The giant's stomach acid corrosion is more than 100 times more powerful than that of a human. They can digest bones completely. Whoever told you that giants spit out the bones when they eat? Lin Huang educated Fatty on some scientific facts. Right, the giants that I saw in videos also swallowed the bones. Fatty recalled the time when he watched some educational videos. Alright, since we've eaten, let's clean up and go on the road. If we are fast enough we can reach the Alps tomorrow night. Then, we'll rest for a night and we can start climbing the day after tomorrow in the morning. Lin Huang had done his planning earlier. It would take them 2 days to reach the Alps if Tyrant was to travel for 10 hours per day. Yay! Fatty was excited when he heard that they could finish the journey in 2 days while ordinary people would take more than 10 days. The assessment could not get any easier than this. After cleaning up, they rode on Tyrant's shoulders and begun their journey. Chapter 25 Danger was close. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After traveling for more than 6 hours on Tyrant, it was getting dark as stars lit up in the sky. The journey was smooth sailing. Lin Huang and Fatty were not attacked by any people. Perhaps Tyrant was the reason why. Pure Gold Desert was a grade .1 wild zone and there would not be any monsters that were over iron. Level. Tyrant was an iron. Level rank .3, it was a creature on top of the food chain and other predators would try their best to avoid it. It was hot during the day and most of the predators would choose to hibernate or rest. When the sun sets, the temperature would drop and they would go out to hunt. It would be a dumb move if Lin Huang was to travel at night. With Tyrant, they had ample time to get to their destination so there was no need for them to travel at night. After he recalled Tyrant, Lin Huang summoned his second sand monster. Fatty saw that Lin Huang summoned another monster, he was stunned. Bro, how many monsters do you really have? That's a secret. Lin Huang did not even turn around when he answered Fatty while he built the tent. Why did you not buy a portable tent? It's so troublesome to build it from scratch. Fatty sat on a rock while watching Lin Huang build the tent. I'm poor, I can't afford that. What Lin Huang said was the truth. The portable tent that Fatty mentioned was inspired by an armored piece of equipment. Its price was nothing less than an iron-level equipment. A few days ago, Lin Huang could not afford that at all. But it sounded ridiculous to Fatty. I would believe you if you can't afford to trade your life crystals to get to iron-level. But if you tell me you can't even afford a portable tent, that's nonsense. I must visit your house one day to see how poor you are. If you really can't afford a portable tent, I would spend all I have to help you to get to iron-level. Fatty thought Lin Huang was exaggerating, so he promised him that. For a normal person to get to iron-level, it would require more than 200 million credit points to activate all the gray columns in Life Wheel. 200 million credit points were a lot. That was the reason why most of the people in this world could not get to iron-level. Lin Huang laughed when he heard what Fatty said, "You don't need to look at my house. When we're done with the assessment, I'll bring you to the credit bureau to show you my bank book. You'd definitely believe me by then." What? You must be kidding. Are you really that poor? Fatty panicked when he heard what Lin Huang said. Lin Huang smiled without saying anything. Fatty got even more panicked when he saw Lin Huang smiling. "I was just messing with you just now, please don't take it seriously." Lin Huang ignored him while he put all his attention on building the tent. When he was done, it was dark. Lin Huang turned around and saw the Fatty sat on the rock without bringing out his tent. "Where is your portable tent?" "About that. It was blown away by the wind last night." Fatty scratched his head and avoided eye contact with Lin Huang. "Oh, then let's prepare dinner." Lin Huang seemed to ignore Fatty, who did not have a tent. He stretched his body and mumbled, "I'll sleep after dinner, it had been a long day, I'm exhausted." "That wouldn't be a problem for you, but what about me?" Fatty looked at Lin Huang, who just built the tent. He seemed troubled. "How about we share a tent tonight?" "That's not happening. Settle your problem yourself." Lin Huang responded without even thinking. "It's usually cold at night. Look at my delicate body, if I was to sleep outside tonight, I would be frozen to death. Do you really want that to happen to me?" Fatty gave him puppy dog eyes. "It wouldn't be a problem. If you're cold, you can cuddle with the sand monster." Lin Huang gave him a creative suggestion. "He has more fats than you do, that's even sexier, just your cup of tea." "Then I'd rather die." Fatty looked at Sand Monster while it gave him a smile. Fatty shook his head and rejected the suggestion. "Don't goof around, make dinner now." Lin Huang changed the topic. "I've lost my appetite, I can't eat anymore. I'm not cooking." Fatty turned his head around, he seemed to be throwing a tantrum. "Cook first, I'll think of something for you after dinner." "No. You give me the solution now or I'll not cook tonight." Fatty sat on the rock crossing his arms while waiting for Lin Huang to give him a solution. "The solution is, I have a backup tent." Lin Huang laughed. "Are you messing with me?" Fatty was afraid that Lin Huang was not being serious. Lin Huang did not say anything as he took out a tent pole from his storage. "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" Fatty yelled at him while laughing. "Unlike some people, I did my planning properly and brought a backup tent." Lin Huang said while he placed all the parts of the backup tent on the ground. "You fix it yourself after dinner, I'm going to sleep now." Fatty then quietly took out his tableware and started to prepare dinner. After dinner, the sky was completely dark with stars. It looked like the ocean, sparkling above him. The heat on the sand faded and the wind was chillier. Lin Huang got the sand monster to watch over the night while he went into his tent. Fatty was fixing the tent clumsily. Half an hour later, Fatty built a distorted tent and there were still parts on the floor. He lost his tolerance and went into the incomplete tent anyway while he tried really hard to close the tent. Due to the sandstorm the night before, he did not get a good rest. Soon he fell asleep. Hearing Fatty's snore from not far away, Lin Huang smiled as he shook his head. This Fatty was such a naive guy, letting his guard down when he was with Lin Huang. He fell asleep immediately. This fella must be exhausted. As Lin Huang had a good rest last night, he was not sleepy even though he was tired. Sleepiness only kicked in the middle of the night. As the night went on, the desert became colder. Before dawn, there was a layer of frost on the ground. Under 2 full purple moons, the desert was calm. Suddenly, the sand monster who was sitting in front of the tent seemed to smell something. It started to sniff its surrounding and looked to the direction where it identified the source of the smell. Although it could not see clearly what it was because it was far away, it could see that something was approaching them at an alarming pace. It stood up immediately and screamed into the tent. Ah woo! Ah woo! Ah woo! Lin Huang managed to fall asleep for only 2 hours before hearing the sand monster's scream outside. He sat up immediately. He did not even remove his clothes and shoes as he was worried that there would be such incidents. He opened the tent and looked, shocked when he looked at the direction the sand monster was pointing at. He then walked to the fatty's tent. After several failed attempts to open his tent, he took out his sword from storage and cut the tent open. He slapped the fatty on his face. "Wake up, fatty, we'll be dead if you continue sleeping." Chapter 26 The Terrifying Crows. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fatty woke up after he was slapped. He abruptly sat up in bed and subconsciously covered his body with a quilt as he saw his fat upper body. He was alert and asked Lin Huang, "What are you doing?" "Just follow me. I don't have time to explain to you now." Lin Huang tossed off his quilt, and Fatty was seen to be wearing red boxers only. "I need to put my clothes on. Please leave my room now." Fatty immediately covered his chest. "We're dying, and you still care about putting on your clothes." Lin Huang grabbed his arm and dragged him out of the tent. Although Fatty was reluctant to leave, still, he followed Lin Huang and walked out of the tent since Lin Huang did not sound like he was joking. He was startled as soon as he got out of the tent. The sky far away from him was completely dark. Half of the blue sky had turned black, and it was expanding quickly as if it was stained with black ink. The entire sky was now separated into 2 distinct colors, which was dark blue and black. "It's the crows. We're doomed." Fatty's face turned pale. "Keep your big mouth shut and get up." Lin Huang re-summoned his tyrant and sat above him. Tyrant pulled Fatty over and placed him on his shoulder. He glanced at the crows behind him and ran very quickly. This time, he was running at full speed, and his speed had exceeded 120 kilometers per hour. Lin Huang was still fine as he sat stably, holding Tyrant's beard tightly to prevent falls. On the other hand, Fatty did not sit properly from the beginning in addition to he was holding his clothes. He fell after Tyrant began running. Lin Huang was taken aback as he saw him fall. Fortunately, Tyrant was able to hold him before he fell. However, Tyrant did not place him back to his shoulder but held Fatty in his arms instead and continued running. His arms would swing way more than his shoulder when he started running madly. Fatty felt like he was on a roller coaster that was at least 10 times faster. After a short while, he started to feel dizzy and eventually fainted. Lin Huang, who was initially laughing at Fatty, did not feel well then. Tyrant ran madly at full speed, and he swung at least 1 time faster. He felt like something moving across his stomach. Consequently, he vomited as he could not bear the feeling of uneasiness any longer. Tyrant's speed had exceeded 120 kilometers per hour. However, the distance between Lin Huang and the crows did grow further. Instead, they were getting closer to each other. These monsters were the undead. They were spirits without solid bodies and usually hunt spirits of the creatures. They flew in the sky, floated like clouds, but their speed was not slow at all. The crows were small and weak. Their abilities were merely at the iron dot level. Since they were souls without bodies, they could easily be destroyed. Therefore, through prolonged evolution, they had found a way around this, which was to hunt for prey in groups. When a large group of crows appeared, even the gold dot rank hunters had to avoid them. They resembled ants that were weak alone, but thousands of them could even threaten an elephant. This explained why the crows were so strong and powerful. There was a course called the Fundamental of Monster Guide offered by the Hunter Reserve College. A detailed explanation of the crows was provided. Lin Huang remembered there was a paragraph stated this: one must avoid any location where corpses without injuries can be found. It can either be in the desert or forests and is a remote and inaccessible place. This was usually a sign where flocks of crows would appear. They would only hunt for souls and would not harm their bodies. Lin Huang was sitting on Tyrant's shoulder, but he looked back at the crows from time to time, estimating the distance between them. As time passed, they grew closer to each other, and Lin Huang's face turned pale. He quickly pondered on these thoughts. These crows were creatures with no physical form. There's nowhere we could hide, as they could directly pass through any objects including ground and mountains. Therefore, finding a place to hide would not work. The life power was capable of threatening the crows. However, even the gold dot rank hunters would not trigger them, as their efforts to kill would be in vain. I had not mastered the life power yet, and Fatty's ability was merely iron dot level. Despite having specific skills to stop spirits or supernatural powers, it would be rendered useless as he was too weak. Based on the distance between us, it was estimated that within half an hour they would be ahead of us. The only choice we had now was to ask for help from the examiner. If we had the examiner's dimensional relic, we definitely could survive. Lin Huang thought of it repeatedly, and this was the only way he could figure out. However, he hesitated. Pressing on the help button and they would be disqualified from the assessment. This was the rule mentioned by the main examiner in the first place. Even if they had reasonable reasons to request for help, but rules were rules. Lin Huang would usually not struggle like this, and he would give up the assessment without hesitation, since if he were disqualified as a candidate, there would be a second chance for the assessment. However, the reason he applied to become a reserve hunter was to fulfill the requirement of the mission related to the Goldfinger. Punishment for failing this mission was quite harsh. It stated that if Lin Huang could not complete the mission within a month, he would lose his Goldfinger and the items rewarded during the activation of Goldfinger. This indicated that he would not only lose his Goldfinger, Xiaohei, but also the monster cards, skill cards, as well as the life light gained from the kills. He would return to the condition he was in before his travels, or probably even worse. Lin Huang was upset. He was not sure if he could still look for another foothold to apply for the assessment and complete the assessment within the limited time if he were disqualified this round. He was so confident that he could pass the assessment, so he did not survey about the information of the assessment at another foothold. He had no access to the internet now to check these details. This gave Lin Huang a headache as he looked at Tyrant's right hand, which held the fainted Fat. If Fatty did not faint, he would convince him to give up the assessment and in turn, compensate him with a few types of equipment. Unfortunately, Fatty had fainted, and his emergency communicator was at the locker, irretrievable at the moment. After struggling for a long time, he looked at the crows behind him and realized they were getting nearer and nearer. Lin Huang finally decided and thought it was of the utmost importance to survive under such circumstances. I will think about the mission later. He had finally made up his mind and took out his emergency communicator. He then pressed the help button. Chapter 27 Escape from Danger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The destination of the assessment was foothold number 7D121. It was around 800 kilometers away from Lin Huang. In the imperial suite of a grand hotel, a woman was sound asleep in the spacious master bedroom. She was wearing a loose, white silk pajamas that covered her body only until her hip and exposed her long, slender legs. When the moonlight shone on it, ravishing colors were seen reflected, shimmering on the surface. All of a sudden, the woman's emperor's heart ring on her left index finger vibrated and a sound akin to a siren filled the atmosphere. She groaned modestly as she woke up to sit on the edge of her bed. She fluffed her hair and in an annoying tone said, "It's so late now and my sleep is disturbed." Yeyu was one of those who got irritated easily if they were sleep-deprived. She pressed the connect button on the communicator. She looked ferocious even with a straight face. She said, "Let's see who dares disturb me at this hour while I'm sleeping." A three-dimensional map was suddenly projected from the ring. It was a complete map that showed the regions of assessment. A red, bright dot on the map constantly blinked while sounds of siren continued to echo her bedroom. This red dot was obviously the cry for help sent by Lin Huang. What the hell is this person doing? He did not stay there to be rescued after sending out a signal for help but ran so quickly. Yeyu was angry as her eyes tried to catch the flickering red dot that was constantly moving and changing its position on the map. After a while, her facial expression slightly changed. She noticed that it was strange and thought, "There's something wrong with the speed." Even those on bronze level could not travel at such speeds in the desert. Yeyu spent some time and changed her clothes into a black suit. She was pissed and calculated the speed of motion of the red dot. She relocated the coordinates for delivering and summoned the relic. A green wooden door with the height of about 2 meters appeared abruptly in the hotel room. Yeyu pushed the door and strode out of the room. Yeyu then appeared in the assessment area through the green wooden door. She then crossed her hands in front of her chest. She looked toward the direction where the red dot appeared, unhappy. As the red dot got closer to her, she smiled coldly as she wanted to teach him a lesson. However, her face suddenly changed. She looked at the sky, it was covered by a dark shadow. The huge shadow was moving rapidly towards her. Her vision was clear, she was able to see a huge flock of crows. She recalled the terrifying speed of the red dot that appeared on the map and suddenly understood what was happening. She could not help but laugh and thought, who was the unfortunate, poor soul who got chased by the crows? It was not easy to survive this mishap. After a short while, she saw something was running madly, stirring up the sandy dust. She identified a gigantic sand monster running insanely. A sand monster. The crows would probably be ahead of it very soon. Where's the fellow who requested for help? Could it be that he's just behind the sand monster? Yeyu then looked behind the sand monster but saw nothing because the skies were dusty. At this moment, she heard a sound coming from far away, "Dear examiner, please help us to get out of this place." It was then that Yeyu realized a young man sitting on the shoulder of the sand monster, waving at her. Lin Huang did not notice Yeyu at the first instance. It was only when he saw the green wooden door that he noticed her standing beside it. How could this fellow be the imperial censor? Yeyu was surprised. She could remember this young man who almost missed the deadline for his application as he was the only candidate that was not an iron level. The crows were now so close to Lin Huang, they were not even a kilometer apart. It was visible to the naked eye that the distance between them reduced as time passed. He kept looking back and asked Tyrant to run faster. Tyrant ran recklessly toward Yeyu. He knew how scary the crows were. Yeyu felt a sense of urgency. She then quickly wove arcane symbols with both of her hands. The gold life power formed a strange insignia in the space in front of her. The insignia formed a shape after it was complete and was automatically imprinted on the green wooden door. The green wooden door, which was initially around 2 meters tall, expanded rapidly to about 10 meters within about 2 seconds. Escape through the door. Lin Huang commanded once the expansion was done. The distance between him and the crows was less than 300 meters now. Everyone including the examiner would die if Tyrant stopped for a second or two. This was an urgent matter and Yeyu knew it. Otherwise, she would not have expended her life power to trigger the change in form of the door. Tyrant did not stop at all. The moment right before he reached the door, he took a big leap and jumped over the door. The crows were surrounding them, but Iyeyu did not bother to look back at the crows. She followed after Tyrant and leaped through the door. Just when the crows were about to catch up to them, the green wooden door closed abruptly. They disappeared from the desert as if they had never appeared before. At the same time, a black torrent swept through the region, filling every nook and cranny with gloom as countless crows began to converge. Iyeyu's bedroom was a mess. There was a big hole which penetrated through a few rooms on the ceiling of her room when Tyrant advanced to the hotel through the green wooden door. It was already too late when Lin Huang reacted to recall Tyrant. Iyeyu was upset. She took a seat on her bed while Fatty was lying on the ground, in a state of unconsciousness. "Your name is Lin Huang." Iyeyu could remember his name as she was the one who did the registration for him when he applied for the assessment. "Tell me the whole course of this incident." Lin Huang was slightly relieved to hear that she was at least interested to hear his side of the story. He was worried about having to compensate for the damages and loss of the hotel. He then calmed himself down and said, "Yesterday when Fatty and I were sleeping at around 2 o'clock in the morning, the night watcher woke me up. After I got out of the tent, I discovered the crows. I woke Fatty up at once. We sat on the sand monster's shoulder and fled. After running for some time, we then realized that we could not get rid of them. I had no choice but to request for help." In turn, Iyeyu frowned and said, "It was approximately half an hour ago when you sent out the distress signal. Weren't the crows already chasing you at the time?" "Yes, otherwise, would not have pressed the help button." Lin Huang looked puzzled. Tyrant was capable of escaping for half an hour, yet the crows did not overtake him. This speed could not be easily achieved by iron-level sand monsters. Was it a mutated sand monster? Earlier in the desert, Iyeyu could vaguely sense that Tyrant exuded a strange aura. After listening to Lin Huang, she was sure about it. Mutated monsters were rare. Once they became mutants, their attributes would be significantly altered. They could produce new skills, and their skills could be further enhanced. Indeed, Tyrant did not use any advance cards to become a mutant. He was born like that. He had a green crystal card when Lin Huang found him. Lin Huang had no intention to hide it from Iyeyu so that he might be allowed for the assessment once he reveals its strength. "Yes, it's a mutated monster," Lin Huang said underneath his breath. "Alright, I know now." There was no expression on Iyeyu's face. "Regarding the crow incident, I'll report to the person in charge. This issue will probably be settled before daybreak. I'll then send both of you back to continue with your assessment." "You're saying that I'm not disqualified from the assessment?" Lin Huang's tone lightened. "Do you prefer to be disqualified from the exam?" Iyeyu said over her shoulder as she walked away from Lin Huang. "No, I never wanted to press the help button. Something was wrong with the emergency communicator, and it had nothing to do with me," Lin Huang said shamelessly, waving his hand. "We only have a few Imperial sensors. An Imperial sensor is always welcome to join the Hunter Association. An Imperial sensor like you who possessed the exceptional ability to summon mutants would be qualified to be recruited. However, I've used up 3 of my quota for special recruitments this month. The only thing you can do now is to pass the assessment and become a reserve hunter yourself." Iyeyu explained in detail. "If you fail the assessment, you'll have to wait until next month to be recruited through the special recruitment. By the end of the month, you can register yourself at Foothold 7C87. Lin Huang never thought for a second that he could get valuable benefits from the identity of an Imperial censor. Overall, he was happy to not be disqualified after all. The good news only lasted 3 seconds before he was bombarded with the inevitable bad news. "I'll pay the damages and loss of the hotel for you. Repay the money back to me when you have it." Yeyu added. The hotel damage costs. Alright. You can now leave my room along with Fatty. We'll meet in the hotel's lobby at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. The Crow's incident should be settled by then, and I'll send both of you back to continue your assessment. Lin Huang carried Fatty on his back as he struggled to walk out of her room. As soon as the door closed, Yeyu thought with a grin, I guess I'm too lucky. I've recruited an Imperial censor with the ability to summon mutated monsters. Let's see who dares say that the newbie I've recruited is weak. However, she did not know that the comments they always had about Lin Huang were that he was extremely weak. Chapter 28 Chemistry. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. Lin Huang was awake from his sleep. He was escaping from danger throughout the night and he was very exhausted. However, he did not sleep well in the hotel. He felt insecure as he had nightmares about crows in the sky. Fatty never woke up but was still snoring loudly. Lin Huang originally requested a room with twin beds, but because he could not stand the snoring, he requested to be switched to another room of his own. He woke Fatty up and roughly told him what happened last night when they were having their breakfast. At 9 o'clock sharp, Yeyu came dressed in a purple lady's suit, wearing a pair of black stilettos that were 20 centimeters high. Her appearance caught many people's attention. To the men, she was attractive. Have you settled the crows? Lin Huang could not help but ask as he saw Yeyu walking towards him. Yes, I have. I informed the association last night after you left. According to the association, they sent a transcendent hunter to kill the crows in less than 1 minute. Yeyu said proudly. That person killed such a huge group of crows within a minute. Lin Huang could not believe it. Until now, he had no idea what the strongest man in the could do. From what he heard, the Transcendants had abilities beyond the existing humans' abilities. You can hardly imagine how powerful a transcendent hunter is. Don't aim too high. What you should do now is to think of how you can pass the assessment and upgrade to iron level. She then added, you should also think of how you can return me my money. As he heard the last sentence, Lin Huang kept quiet so that she would not be reminded about this too often. The crows have been killed, and the area where the exam takes place should be safe now. Follow me, and I'll send you back to where you were yesterday to proceed with the assessment. Yeyu said and pointed both of them to her room. When they were in front of the door, Lin Huang took a glance at the room's number. He had a strange expression and asked, didn't you change your room? The boss of the hotel did not allow me to change. He was afraid that I might cause more damage to his room, Yeyu answered. 3 of them entered the room. Fatty looked at the large hole in the ceiling and said, damn. Sister, what have you done here and why did you blow up the ceiling? You have to ask him about this. Yeyu pointed at Lin Huang. Lin Huang looked uncomfortable yet apologetic. How could it be? Last night both of you were together in the room. Fatty immediately grasped the meaning of their conversation and smiled wryly. Is there chemistry between the both of you? This is bullshit. You were here last night. Lin Huang knew that Fatty was trying to insinuate something dirty. I was here too. Did you do something to me that I was not aware of? I'm still a virgin. Shut up. Lin Huang and Yeyu shouted unanimously. Both of you may leave now if you don't have anything else to ask. Yeyu asked, looking at both of them, and they shook their heads. Yeyu summoned the big wooden door and pushed against it. Lin Huang and Fatty strode out the door. The other side of the big wooden door was the location Tyrant entered the door to escape at midnight. Where is this place? Fatty looked lost because when they were escaping from the crows at midnight, he fainted. He was clueless as to what had taken place. Lin Huang looked around him. However, nothing was familiar to him. Tyrant carried both of them and ran very quickly at midnight. Lin Huang was not aware of the surrounding at all as he was busy estimating the distance between them and the crows. He somehow made a quick guess and said, "The crows were coming from the south region yesterday, and we escaped for half an hour towards the north. We should be now around 60 kilometers away from our tent. Then where should we go now? Should we proceed towards the north?" asked Fatty. "Let's get back our tent first. Otherwise, we won't have a place to sleep tonight," Lin Huang wisely remarked. "All right. Thanks to Tyrant's speed, we would only need to spend half an hour to go back. If we had to walk, it would take at least half a day to reach," Fatty reasoned. They summoned Tyrant, and both of them sat on his shoulder once again. They then departed. After half an hour, Tyrant brought them back to the station where they set up camp yesterday. Fatty's tent was more eye-catching. It was not because of its color, but because of its funky shape. Thank God the tent was still in good shape. The crows only hunt for souls and were not interested in inanimate objects. "You made such a long cut on my tent, can I still use it?" Fatty asked, visibly displeased. "Where else will you sleep tonight?" Lin Huang did not want to share a tent with Fatty and began folding his tent. Fatty knew that Lin Huang did not want to stay in the same tent with him. He was forced to take down his tent, and he mumbled, "I should have woken up earlier just now to buy a new tent before meeting the lady. What have you done with her? Why can't you tell me? Why did the room become like that? Also, why did she say you owed her money?" Fatty asked in one breath. Lin Huang did not bother to answer him and continued folding his tent. He was not in a good mood because he was in debt for no reason. He thought in his heart that he would never summon Tyrant in the hotel ever again. Say something." Fatty threw a screw at him to break the silence. "Don't you have anything better to do?" Lin Huang asked impatiently. After a while, Fatty threw another screw at him. "You look upset. Did you lose your virginity to her? Don't bother me. Do your own thing." Lin Huang was beginning to get annoyed. After a moment of silence, he started talking again. "I somehow feel that Yeyu's attitude toward you was sort of weird. You're thinking too much." Still, Lin Huang's back faced Fatty. Fatty found Lin Huang's reaction uninteresting. He then focused on taking down his tent. Lin Huang felt a wave of peace and he was thankful for that. Chapter 29 Monster from the Sandy Bottom. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After folding their tents, both of them sat on Tyrant's shoulder and headed toward the east. They were attacked by several monsters while on their journey to the east. Thankfully, Tyrant's powerful abilities killed those monsters in an instant, so there was no delay in their journey. Monsters would usually avoid Tyrant by hiding. This time around, in only a matter of few hours, they were attacked by 4 monsters. These monsters were much weaker than Tyrant, and because of that, all the monsters perished. Logically, the monsters would never place themselves in danger because monsters are equipped with instinctive responses to avoid danger. It was indeed unusual to see them charging at the face of death, Tyrant. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the desert temperature peaked. Lin Huang and Fatty found an abandoned house where they stopped so that Tyrant could rest. This house was used as a supply depot and utilized by the Hunter Association. Tyrant moved towards the supply depot. By the looks of the house's structure, it must have existed for a long time. The supply depot was not specifically built for the assessment. The Hunter Association would always build all types of supply depots for passerbys' convenience. Looking at the weathered house, this supply depot must have been around for at least 30 years. "It doesn't look abandoned," said Fatty. "Even if it was an abandoned supply depot, there's a high probability of being utilized as a part of the assessment since it's on the way to our final destination." The strategic location of the supply depot caused the weak to be eliminated, and those who managed to reach the supply depot would have already passed the assessment by completing the first half of the journey. Lin Huang was 80% sure that there would be supplies in it. "Let's go in and have a look." Indeed, it was a storehouse with barrels of water and some high-energy snacks. Fatty was happy and quickly walked towards the food. He took a packet of food and began to eat. Lin Huang took a barrel of water from the storage space and walked toward Fatty asking, "Are you hungry?" "Yes, and this brand of the potato chips are my favorite." Fatty sucked his thumb in a gesture to disgust Lin Huang. "If you're hungry, you can cook up a meal but you can only eat one packet. You know the rules, right?" Lin Huang referred to the unwritten rule which every hunter should know. Items from the supply depot should be taken in moderation. The items provided by supply depot were actually for the needy. Sometimes, a glass of water or even leftover food could be a lifesaver. Therefore, those who could do without the water and food should not be greedy. Fatty was nonetheless shameless, he couldn't care less about these unspoken rules. After finishing that initial pack of chips, he took another packet and kept it in his storage space. He then took another barrel of water and walked out of the house. Lin Huang was drinking some water as he sat in the shaded corridor. He reminded Fatty, "Before you cook, make sure your hands are clean." In all honesty, Fatty cooked very well. The only complaint Lin Huang had was that he had poor personal hygiene. Fatty grilled some meat and after he was done, both of them sat at the shaded corridor, eating. "I brought some Pilsner over. I thought I could enjoy some drinks during the journey. Unfortunately, it was confiscated before the assessment even started." Fatty grumbled. "It's an assessment. Did you think that you were here for a holiday?" Lin Huang was sarcastic. "It's a must to have some alcohol at a barbecue. Plain water at a barbecue is just not right," Fatty responded, so sure of himself. Lin Huang agreed that it was indeed weird to drink plain water at a barbecue. "Alright, stop grumbling. We have to continue with our journey after having our meals. We must try our best to reach the foot of the snowy mountains before dark." Lin Huang said as he thought about the schedule he planned for the journey. Based on the speed of Tyrant, he estimated the remaining journey to be 7 hours. Fatty cleaned the cooking utensils and both of them resumed their journey. Tyrant ran under the scorching sun. However, the sand reflected a golden gleam. Lin Huang and Fatty wore sunglasses and they looked like they were on vacation. After a short while, Lin Huang felt something stirring up from beneath the sand. He took off his sunglasses for a better view and stared at the sand but there was nothing there. Lin Huang seemed confused. He then pointed at the direction of the sand and shouted, "Hey, did you see something move underneath the sand just now?" "No, I didn't. It is not windy now and so it will be easy to notice if anything moved either on or under the desert sand." Fatty replied while waving his hand. The sand began to roll again and this time, in the direction of the sand monster. "There's something there!" Lin Huang yelled. The sand monster smelled something strange and started to be uncomfortable. Lin Huang was more sensitive to Tyrant and he noticed its unusual reaction. This indicated that something frightening was about to happen. Lin Huang prepared for the worst as he held Tyrant's beard tightly with one hand and in his other hand, he took out his Grey Eagle 17. "Tyrant, stop!" Lin Huang commanded because he noticed that the unknown object was moving way faster than Tyrant. They would not escape in time. They waited instead for the unknown creature to charge at them. "Fatty, get ready. It may not be an easy feat this time." Lin Huang shouted. Tyrant stopped. Lin Huang could feel his heart pounding. He aimed at the sand with his Grey Eagle 17 and in a split second, pulled the trigger. They did not have with them many explosive shells so Lin Huang used bullets specially made for Grey Eagle 17. However, the bullets had no impact. It did nothing to the creature because the unknown object kept moving forward and when the shot was fired, a sharp metal plate sound rang instead of a painful groan. The Grey Eagle 17 was not unfamiliar to Fatty. His face turned pale as he witnessed the bullets deflecting into various directions. Tyrant roared profusely. Chapter 30 The Undead Worm. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Tyrant stopped running, the sands rolled to him in just a few breaths. A strong sandstorm stirred up the sand and dust, and the monster from beneath attempted to kill Tyrant. Tyrant bounced on the ground and retreated about 10 meters away, dodging the attack. Lin Huang and the rest of them could see the unknown object now. It was a gigantic creature that looked like a python. It had blood-red scales and scales on its body that was around 20 meters long. It was a lot taller than Tyrant when it erected its body upright. There was merely a mouth on its head. It did not even have eyes. Looking at Tyrant, it opened its mouth slightly. It was visible to Lin Huang and the rest of them that there were many sharp teeth that resembled barbs wriggling in its mouth. Both of their facial expression changed when they saw the monster's features. What should we do? This is an undead worm. Fatty cried. The undead worm was identified as a type of demon. They were the scariest predators on the desert. They were rare, and the worst part is that they do not have natural enemies here. They preyed on all the creatures in the desert. All demons are vicious when they hunt for food. An undead worm was no different. Once the prey was in its mouth, the barbs inside its mouth would wriggle, crushing and slicing the victim. It resembled a meat grinder. It was a known myth that they had a smaller mouth inside their big mouth. It would pierce the ground to the creature's skull and absorb its brain. The undead worm in front of them was around 20 meters long. Similar to Tyrant, they were on iron level. However, these monsters were the sand monster's enemy. It would have a much higher probability of defeating Tyrant. This was also the monster that Lin Huang wished not to encounter the most. However, he was forced to conquer his fears now. We can't escape this anymore, just *ck it. Lin Huang knew exactly what the situation was now. He shouted back at Fatty, but his gaze never left the undead worm. The undead worm erected upright, but it had not launched an attack. It kept its huge mouth open, looking like a freak that was sizing up Lin Huang and the rest of them. It was how predators look down on their prey. The sand monster obeyed Lin Huang's command to not be reckless. Lin Huang and Fatty did not react, they were stunned. Looking at the undead worm that had yet to trigger an attack, Lin Huang made a guess and asked, could it be that this monster only attacks moving objects? You asked the wrong person. I have not mastered the monster guide. I was able to recognize this monster because I've seen it before on the news. Fatty swallowed a mouthful of saliva and continued, the news was about a reserve hunter team that encountered the undead worm in the desert. A team of 5 were killed by this monster in less than 10 minutes. When the rescue team for the monster hunters arrived, the undead worm had bitten off the top half of the last reserve hunter. You don't need to tell me the content of the news. Their conversation lasted for a while, and the undead worm was still ignorant to their existence. Why is it still moving now? Did we encounter a fake undead worm instead? Fatty asked, hoping that the answer to that was positive. Is there anything in your storage that you're not going to use? Let me see. Fatty knew what Lin Huang was thinking. At that moment, the undead worm moved and pounced on Fatty. Damn! It's coming at me! Fatty shouted, his voice shaky. Tyrant's body was short and he used that advantage to roll away, avoiding the kill. Fatty was not aware of his surroundings and was caught in between the heated battle. He was flung across the air and fell beside the undead worm, about 2 meters from each other. It seemed like he felt a stir around. The undead worm's mouth immediately turned to Fatty's position and slowly walked towards him. Its mouth was getting closer to him, his heart felt like protruding out of his body. His mind repeatedly told him to run, but his conscience warned him to stand his ground because if he ran, he would most certainly die. Fatty, don't move. I'll distract the undead worm. Lin Huang said, looking at the undead worm's mouth gradually moving toward Fatty. They were less than 3 meters apart. Lin Huang knew that Fatty would be killed if he did not move to distract it. Tyrant, run. Lin Huang ordered. As Tyrant heard this, he made off and ran away from the undead worm like an arrow leaving the bow. The undead worm immediately turned his head back as it noticed Tyrant was trying to escape from it. It seemed like it was targeting Tyrant's direction. He then chased after him at a faster speed. Fatty was relieved when he saw the undead worm changing its target. There was a moment where he actually thought that he would die. His legs trembled as he sat on the surface of the sand. Fatty then realized that he was sweating and his body was all wet. It was not because of the hot weather, but it was due to anxiety and fear. He rested for a while but hesitated. He then stood up and ran in the direction of Tyrant and the undead worm. He mumbled as he ran, "Lin Huang, please don't die. If you sacrifice your life to save me, there's no way for me to return the favor to you in my entire life." On the golden sand, the giant sand monster did not stop running, and a trail of sand could be seen behind him as they got closer to each other. Just when the undead worm wriggled through the sand and was about to pounce on the sand monster, it disappeared from the ground. At the dunes far away from them, Lin Huang smiled. He had another green monster card with him right now. A few minutes ago, before the undead worm was able to catch up with Tyrant, he left Lin Huang at the dunes nearby. He then left Tyrant to distract the undead worm while he observed the distance between them at the dunes. When the undead worm tried catching up to Tyrant, Lin Huang turned Tyrant back into a monster card which ruined the undead worm's plan. It stood still and kept looking around for Tyrant. Lin Huang crashed the green monster card and re-summoned Tyrant. He then said, "Let's go. We've to go back and look for Fatty."